So here we have a conic hand, and you can see that the overall hand is very sort of rounded, and the fingertips are very rounded, and just the overall features of the hand are just sort of quite round and soft. The phalanges kind of appear almost a little bit chubby, and the palm itself appears quite springy. The colour seems to, there's a little bit of reddish here. Overall, it's very pink, and it appears full of life. I mean, I can't touch it to know exactly how resilient it is and if it would spring back or not, but I think it would. Conic hands tend to be quite sort of sensual, quick and impatient, enthusiastic and artistically motivated. I mean, the only real non-conic aspect down here is the way that lunar kind of is quite sort of right angle, quite a right angular there, and that kind of shows us some order to the person's character and how they present themselves to others. Bit of self-discipline, I suppose. And also, obviously, we've got ourselves a fire hand. The palm itself is rectangular. It's longer than it is wide, and it's only just longer at the base, wider at the base. Sorry, the fingers aren't quite long in themselves, so it's a fire hand, and as I say, this is a doer, and someone who's quite sort of quick to action. Having said that, I have mentioned that conic hands are quite impatient. This I don't think is particularly impatient in sort of everyday activities, so I wouldn't think this person gets all that fussed about the small things in life. I don't think they get impatient with those. I think they're more impatient with the bigger questions. And this person did actually send me some, a question, I suppose, to understand their path in life. They know a little bit about numerology, and they've told me their date of birth, which is always useful in terms of relaying information to their present, to where they are in the moment in their lives. So these are the images they've sent me. They seem to want to know, they've mentioned that they've been single since their birthday, and not the best of images, but at least I've got two full images of the palms here, the hands, mostly anyway, of the right hand here. You've got a nice arch, the way the fingers arch there, it's nice and rounded. So this person appeared to be concerned they've been single since their birthday. That's 6 months, since the 21st of March. And they're only 29 years old. I mean, you've been single 6 months. It's not that long in the grand scheme of things. And in fact, it's quite healthy. I suppose it's a long time if that's what you want. Certainly a long time if that's what is, if that is in fact what you're searching for. Now, the lifeline and the headline are joined for quite some time, up until the age of around 24. And also, if you look here, the second phalanx of Mercury is a little bit short. Only just, but it's a tiny bit on the short side. And this person is a good persuader, but they are lacking in confidence. That's also shown. So this is shown by two things. Firstly, the life and the headline being joined for so long. There's a slight lacking in independence shown there in the second phalanx of Mercury. And also Jupiter is a little bit on the short side. Yes, it's a tiny bit lower set than Apollo, but it's still a little bit short. So we're lacking in some confidence here. And this is the left hand, and we can see that on the right as well. Unfortunately, it's not the clearest of images. Now, I can't stress this enough. The more clarity I have, the more clarity I can bring you. But, I'm starting to get a picture here to answer your first question, what your life path is. I can say for certain that you would make a great salesman. And this is because the tip of Mercury is well developed. It's leaning in nicely. It's long, and the finger itself is long, especially as that it's slightly low set. It's still reaching up as far as the first phalanx of Apollo, this shows us a great communicator, especially in the workplace. And you're obviously a bit of a team player. These two fingers are nice and straight, they're close together. The tip there's no real distance there. I think you work well with others, and I think that you've got this a slightly sort of pointed tip there to Jupiter, and that again, these two in combination here with Mercury and Jupiter, you'd make a superb salesman. I think you'd thrive in that setting as well, because you would end up meeting, I suppose, the whole profession of being a salesman has changed drastically as to what we know of it as. But it's the sort of setting where you meet a lot of people, you challenge yourself in constant social settings, you have to adapt socially, and it would help develop expression and communication. And just meeting so many people, it opens up doorways. The more people you meet, it's who you know. It's who you know in any industry. If you want to make it somewhere, it's who you know. And you make those connections by getting yourself out there and meeting people. So if you can do that through making money as a stepping stone, that's perfect. And also, when you meet, the more people you meet, the more chances you have of meeting the one, so to speak. You've got a higher chance of meeting a partner in life. Okay, so there is one, that I'm coming close to answering your question as to your path in life, but let's have a look at what the actual palm is saying. So now you can see on the family ring, let's move my head out of the way, you can see an island here on the family ring. That represents a child, or the possibility for one. This is the left hand. Now if we look at the right, the family ring looks very different on the right. I don't know what's going on here, to be honest. It's a bit blurry. It's like there's two families there. It's a strange one. It's almost as if this person has two families, and I can't see the child here, but it is very blurry. So I do think there were issues at home when this person was younger. Now you can see an island here, the way the lifeline, as it breaks away from the headline and this person claims their independence, you can see an island. And on the left hand, this is how this person has been affected by the same incident, but internally. We can see that the head, and we can see that the lifeline, it's like a large island, sort of, but it's more like this person has been working very hard, and the lifeline has kind of doubled and worked in tandem. There's two life energies working in tandem. There's two environments this person works in. So it could be that there's this difficult home life alongside a challenging sort of work life, and it's creating a bit of a struggle. But it's not all bad, because after the age of about 30, 31, things look up for this person, and their job starts to make them more money. Things generally start to seem, a lot, they become easier for this person. I wish the right hand image was a bit sharper here. So at that age of around 25, 26-ish, maybe 26, 27, there were efforts made to better themselves in their career. I don't have a clue what this person does, but I do think they have a good understanding. They have a good idea as to where it is they want to be career-wise later on in life. I think they've thought about this, actually. And I think they understand and they want to be in a place of authority when they get there. Because both on the left hand and the right hand, we've got here, that could be the sort of partial girdle of Venus, but I don't think so. I don't know. It isn't. Yeah, it's as I thought. So this person has thought about their career. They like to be in a place of, authority, quite a sort of high level. I think this is the sort of person who is good at organizing other people's work. And as I say, they're a team player. They're good with people. They're good in the social environments. And on the left left hand, you can see the career line. There's a little bit of an island there in between the head and the heart line, and that's showing that there's worries about the career and future. On the right hand, I mean, there's just no real clarity. There is a bit of an island there as well. So perhaps if they keep going the way they're going, they may well bump into problems career-wise. So perhaps a change is needed. Now, they've thought about travel. This again is something they're thinking about for later in life. Around retirement age, a little bit before. We can see that at the age of 60s and late 60s, we've got two strong travel lines here, and that's on the right hand. They're very strong. On the left, they're just thoughts, they're plans, they're ideas, but on the right, they actually do happen there. And this is some way off into the future. So the fact that these are stronger on the right hand is fairly unusual, and it shows, I think, this person has an ability to action their plans, however long or short term. So I think this person knows what it is they want to do, and I think they have a good sort of action plan, a good game plan for, the late game. They're playing the late game. And you can see at the end of the career line here, notice the way, as the heart line rises upwards, you've got the career, it sort of changes roles slightly there as the person hits their early 50s, and then it trails off towards Jupiter, and again this sort of place of authority and a higher role, rising in position in life. So this is nice, and this, if we start to see this as well, we end up with a little sort of diamond at the end of the career path. And I've seen this before, and this is someone cashing out their pension. It's, as I say, I think this person is probably quite lucky. Now, I mentioned earlier on, I'll just move my head out of the way, this person has sort of reduced confidence because this phalanx is not quite, it's a little bit on the short side. I got it wrong. So this is actually, this represents independence. The second phalanx of Mercury is more to do with scientific thinking and our ability to industrialize and put things into action in that sort of way. Actually, I suppose it's a way to think things through mechanically in your mind. So I got those two mixed up the wrong way around. This person does have, a good amount of confidence, but not so much in themselves, if that makes sense. Because there is still a low self-esteem issue with Jupiter not quite being long enough. However, they do have a good amount of independence, and that's a great sign because of what I was saying earlier about them actually fitting in really well in that sort of salesman type industry. They'd make a great sales rep. So given that this phalanx is actually a good length, I don't think this person is easily tricked. I don't think too much gets past this person. The heart line does start quite low. So, they have the potential there to fall prey to, a damsel in distress, if you like, especially at this time where they are, they're on the prowl, they're looking for a mate. The headline is good. It's got a nice arc to it. It's a nice curve to it. I think there is a little bit of a risk there of this person working too hard and burning themselves out if they're not careful. So conic hands tend to be more of this sort of instinct and feeling type people rather than analysis and statistics and working with facts. They like to work off the room. And as I say, this person would make, an excellent career in any sort of social setting. And I'm wondering what they do for a career. I'm wondering if perhaps they work in the catering industry or perhaps they work in a hotel, something like that. And, as I say, this headline is nice and creative. It's not too, there's still some sort of practicality here. And I don't think they think about things for too long. They get the job done and they do it skillfully. And you can see that Neptune is well developed. The bridge between Venus and Luna is, gapped, so to speak. And so this person has a great ability to get their message across and, hold an audience. I don't think people have the opportunity to sort of get bored when they're talking to this person. This person is engaging, unlike me. I sometimes worry I put people to sleep with my videos. So this person is certainly charming and can talk. And when it comes to the extreme version of that in conic hands, they don't know when to stop talking. But I don't feel this person will have a problem in charming the opposite sex. So I don't think it'll be too long before you find yourself a partner. Now we're looking on the percussion side of the hand here. And here, just above the heart line, below the Mercury finger, just in this section here, is where we see relationships. And there's a lot that's said about these relationship lines that come in horizontally from the side of the palm. And if we use this here as two markers, the lower marker being earlier in age and the upper being later on, we can see very roughly what time in a person's life relationships occur. But a lot is said about these very fickle and untrustworthy lines, in my opinion. I don't feel that there's too much that you can rely on when it comes to these lines, because they don't necessarily show you how many relationships a person has. This is the mental part of the palm, the upper part of the palm. So you have the mental plane, and then you have the kind of more social setting of Mars, and then the more physical setting. So it shows us how we think about these relationships. And often, you find people that have had a lot of relationships and only one or two lines are present. And this is because it shows us how we think and feel about the relationships we're in. So it shows us our mental approach to the relationship. So when we see a line drooping down a little bit like this one, it is a kind of a blurry image, but I'm pretty sure we can see one drooping down there. And that shows this early relationship in life didn't make it and brought this person down, quite literally down into, crashing down into the emotional sort of plane. And then we can see what looks like, not long after this, which might be around the corner for this person, another relationship, and then the relationship kind of flicks upwards there towards Mercury. It's not all that strong, this relationship. It doesn't seem, I could be wrong about that, and lines change all the time, especially for someone as young as 29. And it could actually be that this was actually the more recent relationship. I don't know, because as I say, these are not an accurate measure of time by any means. You've got this to work with. I mean, it's a blurry image. What are you going to do? You just, guesstimation is the best you've got. It could be, and I am actually wondering, that this is where this person has left off, and I wonder if a child came of this relationship. And I would advise this person to hold off, really. And I think they feel like they're going to be single forever. And that's because a relationship line that kind of trails off like this upwards towards Mercury, or a relationship line that curls upwards like this towards Mercury, almost kind of creating a ring of Mercury type effect. It shows how the person's thinking and feeling about the relationship. They feel like they're going to be a spinster or, a bachelor forever. It's not the case. It's just a feeling. So as again, this is our mental approach. This is a mental part of the palm. So it's a wholly unreliable section of the palm in terms of, how many relationships will I have? How many children will I have? Well, you can't say just for looking at this section of the palm. But I can see that this is a very strong relationship, which is beginning to creep in over the palm, and it looks like a little bit later on in life, but it's far more meaningful. It's better to wait and to, enjoy life and see what happens. You can't change destiny, and it looks like this person has already got some things lined up for them. And we can see here on the left hand here, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's just so blurry, but you can see how that second upper line tries to kind of curl in and roll upwards towards the Mercury finger. And again, this shows us, this is the left hand, how we're feeling internally about the situation we're in. Now this person feels like they're going to be a bachelor forever. It's not the case. So for this person, when they become a boss, because they will at some point become a leader of others, make sure you work with square hands. Make sure you work with other people who have square hands. Palmistry is very useful when you're interviewing potential employees. The square hand, it's a practical person, a reliable person, and they won't let you down. And also, you get on better with your subordinates, will be better off being sort of square palmed. It's hard to explain, but trust me. You probably have a few loose ends, and square palmed people are good at tying up those loose ends. So where they lack an intuition, you have those skills. You're instinctive, and you're a feeler. You feel, you're instinctive, and you act on those instincts rather than analyze. Now, the square palmed type people are more sort of analytical, and they will pick up where you leave off, and vice versa. So you kind of complement each other. So that's why it's important to work with people that are that kind of polar opposite to you in that way. I touched on loose ends a little bit here, and these two pathways, these two directions your life is moving in at the moment, it's really important to not try to work on too many things at once. Try to focus your efforts on one thing at one time. Try not to leave too many loose ends. Try not to follow through with too many ideas. Don't fix what isn't broken, and work hard on the one thing that is working. And that way your efforts will pay off. If you do this, you'll have a much greater chance of making a little diamond out of the end of your career. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.